Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of
The Skooled Zone.
Okay, when we last left off, we had just picked up a bone charm, and now we're about to read this book, Death in the Month of Songs. Let's check it out. Excerpt from a longer work, translated from Old Circonian by Anissa Mateo of Circonos. She was shy in the month of hearths. A hearth usually means the stone in front of a fireplace. Hiding from my scented letters. Scented letters are usually handwritten love letters with like a quick spray of perfume. People used to do that because your sense of smell is closely tied to the memory centers of your brain. We don't see handwritten letters much anymore. They're becoming a dying art, you could say. A sun-dappled cure for my loneliness. So sun-dappled means having various shades of the sun on something. So I think sun-dappled in this context means that Anissa was probably writing the letter under the shade of a tree, and the sun was sort of trickling through the leaves onto her letter as she wrote it to keep her mind off her loneliness. She was smiling in the month of rain, eating figs straight from the tree. Figs, in case you don't know, are fruits from the ficus tree. We don't eat a lot of figs in the West, but they're pretty common in the Mediterranean Middle East. A dream of sailing around the Isles. She was wed in the month of clans to her sailor cousin from Cullero. Cullero is a city in Circonos, an island south of Bristol. Later on, we'll see signs for Cullero cigars. Oh, and she mentions cousin marriage. Although it's extremely uncommon to marry your cousin nowadays, it wasn't entirely uncommon before the 21st century. Most states in the U.S. now make it illegal for reasons of incest or birth defects. A shrill bird drilling at my chest. Shrill means high-pitched, but can also mean harsh or intense, as in this context. She was dying in the month of songs, struck by a disease from the east, a terrible kiss on her distant lips. It's hard for me to say what the meaning of this poem is, but I can take a guess that Anissa had an unrequited love for another woman. So if anyone has any other thoughts, leave a comment in the After School Club. Alright, so as promised, we are now going to get to our bone charms, and might as well head out to this little view here, although now it's drizzling out. Alright, so let's check out our options for the bone charms. Okay, so as you may have seen in a previous episode, we bought the maximum amount of activated bone charm slots. So we've got quite a few to equip, and for the moment, not all of them are going to be useful, but we're going to see what we have here. Alright, so we're doing a lot of carrying of corpses, so we're going to equip the undertaker. And by the way, undertaker is the old-fashioned word for a mortician or a funeral director. Quick dodge. Not a lot of the City Watch are going to have arrows and bolts. Those are going to be more for the whalers later, but we might as well equip it now. Raven. I don't do a lot of drop assassination. As I explained, it's kind of a unpredictable mechanic, so but we might as well equip it now. River Affinity. Sure. Good Lungs. Sure. Voyeur. So a voyeur is like a peeping Tom or someone who gets off on snooping. And we'll come back to that one. I don't know if we need it. Breaking glass, yeah, in the beginning, health is limited, so we're going to try to stay as safe as possible. Firewater. Shot whiskey bottles explode with greater intensity. Okay, we're probably not going to be doing a lot of that either, but I can tell you that firewater is the old-fashioned term for very strong alcohol. Blast resistant, definitely. White rat's friend. White rats won't attack you. Well, that's always a good thing. Gutter Feast. Okay. Although kind of gross, they can be consumed for mana, which can be definitely useful. And Void Channel. So we're definitely equipping that. It's probably the best of the bunch. But in this context, channel means kind of a conduit or focus. So it's basically saying this allows you to focus the void a little better than before. Alright, we are in good shape. So let's head on back. And by the way, in previous times I've played the game, I've explored down on these ledges and there's nothing really there, so I can tell you it's safe to skip, which we will do, and head on over to this area right over here. Okay, so we are done with this little section, this little courtyard, and we're going to take a peek away from the guard's view and see what we got on this little billboard area. I'm going to put a little pop-up if I can remember what they used to call these things. There's a name for where you can kind of post announcements. There we have Slackjaw. We're going to meet him in a little while, although we read a book earlier talking about him, so you can check on that previous episode. And Dowd is the guy who stole the Empress's daughter and murdered the Empress, which you also get to play the villain in the DLC, which is fun. And we'll talk about the Golden Cat when we get there, because that's coming up in a mission. So these are all kind of things that are foreshadowing here. And we're not gonna go this way by either pulling this out or going and hacking this little control box, because we're gonna go around and we don't want to alert the guards. But I might as well show you about making whale tanks explode, because here's kind of what happened last time when I tried to be slick and throw this on them. You throw the whale tank and it doesn't immediately explode. It takes a second for it to kind of catch on fire. So check this out. Alright, so there's a little time there where a little like 2 or 3 second delay where if you don't time it right, it can bounce off the bridge like what happened to me. Okay, so we're going to head down here because we know he's still hanging out in the dumpster. Alright, I know that Granny Rags is up here. Here she is. You can see her throwing things off the balcony. She's very strange. She's an odd bat, you could say. Oh, we're good to go. Well, you know what? No need to let it go to waste. I'll pick that up and head over here. There we go. We could just eat some hagfish. Yum. Alright, when you start walking up here, yeah, she kind of moves away from you. And heads downstairs. So this looks like an overturned boat that she's sort of using as a canopy for this little shrine here. Some more jelly beans. I had my fill of those. And let's head downstairs and talk to Granny. Alright, let's see what she has to say.
Dear? Is that you, my dear husband? My eyes aren't what they used to be. Have you seen my little birdies? The dear things must be starving without their granny. Here, birdies. Here. Oh, my. I think I have gentlemen callers again, but not the way I used to, not the nice ones. I hear them, and they're not very polite ones either. Granny Rags, let us in. Well, they'll go away again if they know what's good for them. But what a bother. Here's the key to the front door, love. You'll see to those ruffians, won't you?
She's quite interesting. She mentioned callers, gentlemen callers, and...
Granny, come out with me instead.
Okay, she's going to keep mumbling. But anyway,
Because you're dead.
she mentioned callers, and the way she's using it usually meant suitors or gentlemen who come over and ask for a date.
I told you the knives go on the left. They've always gone on the left. You never listen.
So in that context, she's probably referring to her particular etiquette for setting the table, but in the West, though, the knives are usually put on the right.
No, that's not a nice thing. Just garbage.
All right, enough about the garbage, Granny Rags.
Let us in, Granny. I bet you can't even hear us. Why? Not deaf.
All right, they mentioned she's blind, and this is true. If you go over and look at her eyes, you can see they're kind of white. I actually don't know why eyes turn white when you go blind. If anybody knows, leave a comment in the After School Club. It may have something to do with cataracts. But here's what we're going to do. Instead of opening the door and letting them in, we're going to get...
Hear that, Granny? Whatever you got, Slackjaw gets a cut. Nothing personal. Just Bottle Street rules.
So we're going to get a little clever. These guys are running some kind of protection racket, and we're not going to open the door for them. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to sneak up here.
Open the damn door.
Get right to the edge. And then we're going to blink over to this street lamp. And since they're all sort of clustered here together, we're going to equip a grenade and we're going to cook it and then throw it right down in the middle of them.
We're wasting our time. How much could she have?
Sweet. Okay, so we took them all out in one fell swoop. Now we can collect their loot. Get them out of the way here for good old Granny. Oh God, I don't know if I want to be carrying around body parts. I think, well, let's use our... see if there's any other loot. Good God, this guy's got spread out everywhere. Alright, you're going to have to do your own cleaning up there, Granny, but we're not going to go in back in through the front door because it's still locked. Now we can leave it locked for her. And now we can head down and chat with her.
I think the little birdies are sad today. Oh, my dear. I knew you'd help me with those ill-mannered boys. My brave man. Listen, Granny has a birthday present for you. I got it from the outsider, and now I'm giving it to you. Go on. It's upstairs. On the vanity. I think you'll cut a nice figure with it. Remember how we used to dance? Our parties were even grander than those at the Boyle Manor. Everyone wanted to come.
Alright, so we're going to head upstairs and collect this gift.
I told you the knives go on the left.
And while we're doing that, I thought I'd mention that when I threw that grenade down there, I used the phrase cooking the grenade. If you've ever played any war-themed video games like Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, Max Payne, you probably know what cooking a grenade means. But for those who don't, it means pulling the pin on a grenade and waiting before you throw it, so you can allow the fuse to burn down and thus less time for it bouncing or for enemies to react when it lands and possibly throw it back. I imagine that's possible in real life since the average fuse time of a grenade is about 3 to 5 seconds, but I don't know how often it's actually done on the battlefront. So if we have any soldiers or vets watching the video, leave a comment on that in the After School Club. I'm interested. Alright, so she gave us a little rune here, which is awesome.
I hope you like the little gift I got for you. It's the least I could do for turning those louts away. I can't bear these Bottle Street children. Ruffians, every last one of them. Rotten apples. And that Slackjaw is the worst lot. You know what I just thought of? You could do something else for me. Another little favor. And I'd give you another present. Another lovely rune carved from the bones of a dead whale. Do you remember my doctor, dear? Dr. Galvani? Now there was a clever man. He's got all sorts of nasty rat guts and disease in his laboratory. Wouldn't it be a shame if some of that mess found its way into the Bottle Street Gang's elixir still? That'd teach him. See to it, dear. I'll find you another present just like the first. Galvani lives on Clavering Boulevard, or at least he used to. Those were the days. Now run off. My baby birdies are hungry. So precious.
Okay. She's she's getting a little eccentric.
You'll have to go or they won't come.
Alright, so she mentioned ruffian in her little soliloquy there. Ruffian is a polite way of saying a criminal or a thug, as in, oh, that gangbanger, he's such a ruffian. You know, doesn't have too many harsh-sounding letters, so it's kind of like he's rough but fluffy. Can you tell I'm having entirely too much fun with this channel? Okay, so we are definitely going to take advantage of that little side quest, because the runes are precious, like her little birdies. But before we leave, we're going to see if there's any more loot. Look at all those body parts everywhere. Okay, yep, there is a couple of sleep darts, which are awesome. We don't need the jelly deals. Yes, I can't forget to go back in the alley. See that little thing right in the crosshairs? Yes, I'm glad I saw that. I might have forgotten that. So this is just an urn. Probably has ashes from cremated relatives. And Marae, as I mentioned in a previous episode, is her real last name. Oh, and we can eat that guy for a little mana. Okay, war metal, probably from one of her relatives, and a spiritual remedy. Great. Okay, so now we're going to head out here and go down into her backyard, so to speak. The purple lights.
Get out.
Not yet. We'll get out in a minute. I mean, there's another rune. Awesome.
Be careful, Corvo. They call her Granny Rags. You wouldn't recognize her real name, or even the name of her family. But an emperor begged for her hand once, and rich young men fought each other for her favor. I watched her consider them all, measure their worth, and find them wanting. Then, she made a different choice. You're on your way to face the High Overseer, the leader of a great cult dedicated to loathing me. What will you do, I wonder?
Interesting. Okay, so he used the word loathe, which means to be extremely resistant to something. For example, I happen to loathe Brussels sprouts, but for some reason I like broccoli.
Chew. Granny has work to do.
All right, we're shooing. Jeez.
I told you that.
Okay, so we'll leave that door unlocked for her just because, I like role-playing. And we'll go out the front, so it's still locked. I mean, we'll go out the balcony, so it's still locked here. Okay, so when we pick up in the next episode, we are going to head down here, way down where the little dot is on the screen, to the Bottle Street Gang headquarters and partake in our little side quest. But before we do, we are going to check out what those runes can buy us. Now, I really want the extra range on this blink, but I think for the purposes of our walkthrough here, shadow kill would be a little easier. That way I don't have to carry the bodies around if I need to hide them. So we're going to do that. And now they'll just turn to ash, which is awesome. Okay, so we only need to collect 3 more to get that extra blink range, which we'll be able to do in this mission. So thanks again for watching. Like, subscribe, all that love. All right, take care.